Your girl Nell, and I am not in the tiny studio today. I am sitting in my great room and just hanging out. I just took my Rasta tam off, so maybe I should have, brushed my hair before I hopped on live. But I just thought it was just, when it starts to get really, super long like it is right now, it just grows and grows and grows. So um, it becomes annoying at times, but I really enjoy wearing my dreads. So I do keep it covered most of the time, but when I'm on camera, as a matter of fact, maybe one day I'll show you guys what my routine is after I take my tam down, because there are some things that I do. I don't wear my tam all the time. Well, I should say I don't wear my tam outside of my home. Sometimes I do, but since I live in the Sunshine State, I like for my scalp to receive natural vitamin D, which is sunshine. So I try to make sure that when I'm out in the sun, I have my locks down so they can really catch all that beautiful, beautiful vitamin D from the sun and fresh air. Because every living thing needs fresh air and sunlight and good food. So I am in the tiny studio today. I look like I have on too much lip gloss. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like I have on too much lip gloss. But I am not in the tiny studio, as I said before. I am sitting in my great room, and I was going to turn on some television and watch some Dynasty. Yes, I am a Dynasty person. Dynasty is or was a primetime soap opera that came on in the 80s. I believe the first Dynasty episode aired in 1981, and then it ended with season 9 in I believe it was 1989. But my family, who were, Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't really watch a lot of soap operas. I watched soap operas, but we didn't really watch a lot of soap operas. I would sneak and watch soap operas because I had a television in my room. But I I have never watched seasons 1 through 5 of Dynasty. So I'm currently doing that now. Dynasty is on Prime, um, Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can catch the whole season lineup, the seasons of Dynasty on Amazon Prime. So that's what I'm getting ready to do right now, watch some Dynasty. But I want to hop on and say hello. I did not make a video for yesterday, for Tuesday, because I wasn't feeling well. And I have to say this. I am a woman of a certain age, a black woman of a certain age. And I am in the throes of menopause. So I had hot flashes. Sometimes I have headaches, um, sleepless nights, things of that nature. And I just recently began to feel really run down. And I know what it's from. I'm anemic, and I know that I have not been ingesting what I should be ingesting as far as vegetables. So I have some kale, I have some spinach, and I have some beets that I got from the market yesterday. So I'm going to be juicing for the next few days so I can just build myself back up. Because I'm really feeling, run down, that run down thing where I could hardly get out the bed this morning. Usually I have a routine. I get up, I watch my master class in crochet, and then I get on with my day. I may have a column to get out, or I may have homework or a study group to attend. But I've just been feeling so run down, and I know what it is. I know what it is. So I need to just boost up my vitamin intake, my mineral intake, my iron intake. I need to boost all of those things up to get myself back to where I need to be. So, I am not going to tell you how much I weigh, sir. Just know that I am actively losing weight, and I'm under a doctor's care. So, and I would say over the past year, I probably, I want to say I've lost about 85 pounds. So I'm actively losing weight. I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh, but just know that I'm actively on a weight loss regime or regimen, and I am doing my best to get this weight off. But anyhow, I'm in my great room today, and I was crocheting, but thank you. I was crocheting, but I wanted to talk to you about some things. And one of those things was my weight loss regimen that Mr. Marcus brought up. I wanted to talk about that, but I wanted to talk about other things as well. Um, I don't know if you can tell, but I've been steadily losing weight, and it's been a very interesting time for me this past year as I really began to shed the weight and shed the pounds. And what I've been finding on my weight loss journey is that I'm not just losing the weight, I'm losing a lot of other baggage that is also weight on top of me. And I've gone through a lot of different traumas in my life as a African American woman. And as most people can say, I've been through, I'm not anything special in that regards. But the way I've dealt with trauma was not the most healthiest way to deal with trauma. I've dealt with trauma by being silent. I've dealt with trauma by eating food. I've dealt with trauma by lashing out, making bad decisions, bad choices, mistakes, all of those things. That's how I've dealt with the trauma in my life. I've had a broken heart, um, a lot of different things. And I've just found that all of those different traumas created fissures in my life. And that's why I self medicated. And for a while, I would self medicate with, maybe drinking, self medicate with um, medications, self medicate with cigarettes, things of that nature. But the thing that really um, put me in a position where I have jeopardized my good health would be suppressing my trauma and by not acknowledging that I have to deal with a lot of issues. And when you begin to you become an adult and you begin to live your life, you say that, well, you put a lot of the blame and the trauma of your life up until a certain age, you put that on your parents. You say, well, this is my parents' fault. They did W, X, Y, and Z. But as you get older, you begin to realize that, okay, that did happen to you as a child. But everything that you've done since the age of maybe 25 can be, linked to childhood trauma, but other traumas that you made and created for yourself that you did not know how to deal with or know how to manage. And I find that, and I'm just going to speak a little truth here. I find that when you have traumas in your childhood that you don't deal with, that they become even greater traumas, compounded traumas when you become older. And then you begin to add layers upon layers upon layers of additional trauma due to the choices that you make. And those traumas and experiences that you have, because they're dysfunctional, they're toxic, you build upon those experiences and you live your life accordingly. until you get to a point where you realize you're just functioning. You're not really living your life. And so I had to get to that point. It's not that this is the first time that I have attempted to lose weight. No, this is probably like maybe the fifth time that I've been on a serious weight loss journey. And I'm thinking the last time I was on a really serious journey such as this, it had to be back in 2010, 2008, 2009, 2010, where I lost maybe 150 pounds. But then I had to deal with my grandfather became sick and he died of prostate cancer back in 2010. And all that hard work that I put into losing weight back then, I gained it all back plus some. And the reason is because there were certain things that grief, number one, triggered me not continuing my quest to um, put my life together, keep my life on track. So the grief of losing my grandfather was overwhelming. The whole process of death and dying, if you've been through it before, you know what I'm talking about. It's a lot. And I didn't really know how to deal with it. And I didn't deal with it. I believe that maybe right now, my grandfather's been going on now for 14 years. And I would have to say within the last 5 years, I've dealt with his transition. And which is sad, which is really, really sad that it's taken me so long to deal with the death of my grandfather. But I'm just being real with you. So I basically stuffed grief back down into my stomach, and instead of dealing with the grief and unpacking the grief, because my grandfather's death was attached to other things that I had going on in my life at the time. And I just really, I never dealt with it. And I really didn't start dealing with um, the different aspects of trauma until, like I said, very, very recently. Very recently. And that's the one thing about weight loss that we have to remember is that it's not what's eating you. It's not what you're eating per se, it's what's eating you. Because when you have a healthy love for yourself, then you already know that being your optimum best, your healthiest, is part of living a really good, productive life. And if you don't make that connection, you're always going to have issues with weight. And that is the key thing that I've learned on this journey of weight loss. I've learned that if I do not deal with the issues that I have in my life, I'm going to always remain fat. And that's not where I'm heading. That is not what I'm embracing. That's not who I am. When I wake up, when I go to sleep at night and I dream, I'm not this size. I'm my natural size of being a 12, 13, because I have boobs and I have hips and I have a butt. So I am a curvaceous black woman, but my healthiest weight is probably around a 12 to a 14. That's my healthiest. And, you know, being the weight that I am, I'm proud of it because I was much larger at one time. If you look back on my videos, you'll see that you'll see that the progression of weight loss. But in 2022, I was at the height of being a big, beautiful woman. And it's unhealthy. Even though I'm healthy, but it's really unhealthy carrying all of that weight. And so I've been, for the past year or so, I've been steadily, probably a year and a half, I've been steadily losing weight. It's been a process. But as I said, as I lose the weight, I'm losing a lot of baggage, which is on purpose. A lot of lies that I told myself about myself, which helped me to continue to gain weight, to continue to live an unhealthy lifestyle. I had to get straight with myself. I had to tell myself, look here, Nell, that's a lie and that's not true. You know, no, you have an issue with forgiveness. And when people wrong you, you don't readily forgive. You stuff it down into yourself and you need to unpack, unpack the reasons why you have an issue with forgiveness. So that's something that I've been working through. Um, I'm a person where I have abandonment issues, and the abandonment issues stem from my biological father, who had issues of his own. But in abandoning his daughter, that caused a crisis in me because it made me feel, and I have felt, that there was a part of me missing. Even when I met my biological family later on, I had to be in my mid to late 20s when I met my biological family. I just felt still unloved and unwanted. And that may not have been true, but for them, but it was my reality and it's how I felt. And it could have come from insecurities. It could have come from the fact that my father, he died in 2000, so he wasn't there to facilitate um, a reconciliation or a union between myself and his family. So I've had to navigate those waters on my own. I have how many siblings on my dad's side? I have one, two. I have three siblings on my dad's side, two sisters and a brother. I have a good relationship with my older sister, but I don't have a relationship with my younger siblings on my dad's side. And that used to bother me. And I had to unpack why. And the reason why those relationships bothered me is because I felt jealous of them. I felt jealous of the fact that they were raised in the household with our dad. They got to know him. They got to know the good, the bad, the ugly of our father. They got to spend time with him. They got to know who they were because they had both of their parents in the household. For me, I had to get to know who I was on my own and discover who I was and who I am. And that was a great challenge for me, a huge challenge. I mean, at this age, this big age of 50 something years, I am still discovering who I am, getting to know me and who I am and who I am becoming, as Michelle Obama um, really, really laid out in her book called Becoming. And I am still becoming. And when you have a situation where you have a parent that abandons you, or a parent who is not in your life for whatever reason they may be incarcerated, or they may have transitioned before you got to know them. They're just not in your life or available to you. When a child has that situation and they grow up, they have all kinds of issues, internal issues with security, love, compassion, empathy, trust, all of those things you have on top of yourself when you don't have the other parent in your life. And that's how I felt. I felt lost, many times. A lot of idiosyncrasies about myself that I didn't understand, you know, why they made up who I am. It came from the paternal side of me, but I didn't know my dad. I didn't know that part of the family. So I had to discover things and figure things out for myself. And that was great. That was a great weight upon me. When your children are not readily provided the blueprint for how they came into existence and why they are who they are, it's a tough road for them. And I know a lot of people may not want to hear this, but it's true, because in this country we have a lot of single mothers and now single dads who are raising their children, without the benefit of having the other parent, the biological parent, around, or as a part of the raising, childbearing process. And that leaves a hole within the children, because the children learn everything about life and who they are from their parents. Having the two parents that created you in your life is really important, because that helps a child get to know who they are. And so when you don't have those things in your life, there's a hole that you end up trying to fill with various things that don't fit. And that's something that I have had to deal with my entire life, the issue of abandonment. Why was I abandoned? Why didn't I have the protection of my father, the father that created me? Why was he not there? Why did he not feel it important enough to check on his seed? Am I not good enough as his child to be loved on and respected and raised? Those are the things that I've had questions I have asked myself from the time I realized that my stepfather was not my biological dad up until today. I'm still discovering things about who I am. That's why it was so important for me to raise all of my children to have all of my children with one man, and to raise all of them in a household together. So that was very important to me. And that may have not been the best decision for me to make, but I made it just for the benefit of my children, because I wanted my children, and I wanted to see them grow from knowing and seeing both parents, both of the people who created them, in action in the home together. Now, sometimes that may not be possible. That may not be the best way to do things, because some relationships and marriages and parents are toxic, and they may not want to. Hi, L. Williams. They may not, it may not be good for them to dwell in the same household together. So I do understand that. But when a child doesn't know who their parents are, or a parent is, it's really hard to shape your life and get to know who you are and what you are if you don't know who and where you've come from, And that's something that I've dealt with from childhood up into being this big age. I've had to deal with getting to know me and who I am and where I come from. And that's why it's so important to me, parentship, family, ancestry, because I want to know these things. I want to know who I am and where I come from. When I look at my oldest daughter, Chaz, and I look at her, and even though when she was a baby, she favored my husband, eyes and all. My husband has his eyes changed. He has blue eyes. Well, he has that thing that David Bowie used to have. Bless him. David Bowie has transitioned now. He's been gone for what? I want to say 8 years, maybe, I don't know. But David Bowie and my husband have the same thing with the eyes. One color, they have different color eyes. So one eye is blue, one eye color is blue, the other eye color is gray. And then with my husband, his turns colors. So it could be blue, gray, then it could be blue, green, it could be gray, green. It changes from time to time. So when my daughter was born, she was born with gray eyes and she looked like my husband. But then as she began to get older, she started looking a little different. And so I used to say, who does she look like? She doesn't look like my husband. She doesn't favor me. Who does my daughter, my child, look like? And then when I got to know my one of my cousins wrote a book about our family, and I think I talked to you guys about that before. He did some research on our family, and he researched all the way back to that's the paternal side of me. He researched it all the way back to our family being slaves or enslaved on the Washington plantation. And this would be George Washington's cousin's plantation. And the name of that plantation was called Wessington. So he wrote a whole book about it. He wrote, I think the book is called The Washingtons on Wessington. The Washingtons on Wessington Plantation is the name of the book. And I didn't know that was my cousin. That's a funny story too, because I am a journalist and a book reviewer. And when I received the book, I was like, oh, this is a great looking book. I'm really digging this book. And as I started reading it, I started saying to myself, hold up. I have, from what I understand, I have family that lived in Tennessee. And one of my paternal ancestors was a runaway slave. And, his name was George Nelson. And it's a lot of Nelsons here. And then he ran away and, he changed his name to Ricks. And some of his progeny were enslaved and free. And so I started seeing things and I was like, wait a minute. I think this is my family's story. And when I interviewed him on my radio show, I had a radio show years ago, back in the mid 2000s. And I interviewed him, and that's when we discovered that we were indeed related, and this was my family story. But however, while I was reading the book and preparing to review it for the interview, there was a picture in the book. And there was a picture of my ancestor, my great 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 grandmother, and her name was Fannie Mae Ricks. And when I saw the picture, I saw my daughter. And I said, oh my God, this woman, this is my daughter. Looks just like my daughter. Eyes, nose, lips, everything. That was my daughter. I would not have any inkling. I would not have known that. And it was like such an experience. Hey, Nikki, it was such an experience to see my daughter's face inside that book. And when my daughter came on to visit and I showed her the picture, I said, who is that? First, I showed it to my sons and my husband. I said, who is that? And they all said, Chaz. And when my daughter saw it, she was like, wow, that's me. Because my Fannie Ricks was she was also Native American. So to see her and see my daughter, that was like a connection for me to get to know who I am. And that was one of the direct links that I had, that yes, exactly, Nikki. That was one of the connections that I had to my Native American heritage, seeing Fannie Mae Ricks, in black and white in my cousin's book. And that was like a defining moment for me in getting to know who I am, because I didn't know. I had no clue. I had no clue why my hair is the way it is, why my face is structured the way it is. My eyes, my nose, that comes from my mom. you know my lips, those are my dad's. There's different things. My teeth, the gap, all of that stuff, that comes from the paternal side of me. So there were a lot of things that I didn't know about myself because of the fact that I didn't really know who my father was. And being a girl and having abandonment issues, it's just, it's something about that, and especially being, I'm a girl and I'm having children. When you are in a situation where you've been abandoned by a parent or parents, and you're giving birth to more children, you have this thing inside of you where you want to get to know who you are. You need to get to know who you are, because you are bringing forth life. You're continuing a thread of life. You're continuing generations. And you want to know who you are and where you come from, because you want to be able to pass those things down to your child. And if you're not given that information, it's a hole there. And so for me, it's always been a quest to get to know who I am. And even at 50 something years old, I'm still discovering different aspects about myself that comes from both sides of my family, getting to know them and who they are and who they were, because I feel it's really important to do so. So on this weight loss journey that I'm on, those are the layers that I'm peeling back. My feelings about being abandoned, um, being a victim of unwanted attention and unwanted stares, because I developed early as a young girl. That was something that really bothered me. It bothered me when my dad's friends would leer at me. That bothered me because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why, you know, you could be best buds and hang out and be, in my living room and be passed out and everything and be family, sort of. But then you would leer at your homie's daughter. I never understood that. And that was something, too, that made me just go into a shell, retreat into a shell. Um, the fact that I was in situations where I was nearly sexually assaulted before I was actually sexually assaulted years later. There are two situations where I was in a situation where I was nearly sexually assaulted by two family friends on two different occasions. And that was something that traumatized me, severely traumatized me. And I started hoarding food and eating it. I would go into the refrigerator and I would take what was that wheat bread that we used to have in Detroit? I can't think of it right now, but they used to have it in white and wheat, and it wasn't Wonder Bread. It was this other bread, Nature's Pride. It wasn't Nature's Pride. It was something else. I can't think of it right now. But I loved that wheat bread. It was delicious. And so I would hoard it. I would get like 4 slices, not make a sandwich with it, put it under my pillow or somewhere, and I would get a book and I would read and eat that bread. Or I would go to the candy store, the penny store, and I would go and buy bags of candy, and then I would stuff it in one of my little purses I would wear on Sunday, and then I would eat it, while I'm reading, eat it, you know. Um, what else? So many bad habits that I had as a young girl, but I was able to keep the weight off because I was active. I was always going somewhere. I was walking everywhere. The Detroit bus system was my car. I use the Detroit bus system for everything, but sometimes that bus system wasn't as reliable as it should have been, so I had to do a lot of walking. And that's how I was able to keep the weight down. Even after I had my first child, I still was able to keep the weight down, even though I was bulimic, which is another thing, aspect of uh, my weight journey that I really don't talk a lot about, but I was bulimic for a lot of years, and I would eat, and then, throw it up, or, be out walking around the track at Palmer Park 25 times, you know, taking laxatives. My grandmother would have laxatives in the refrigerator, and I would eat them. She was like, "Man, I've had these laxatives in this refrigerator for like 5 years, but now they're all gone. What happened?" Crazy stuff like that. That was me. That's what I was doing, because I had a lot of issues. So when I started working, I got married and I started working at, first I worked for what would become Chase. And I can't remember the name of the bank, but before it was Chase, it was something else. And so, no, that's not true. I worked for Comerica. So I worked for Comerica out in Auburn Hills for a while. And then I got a job at Chrysler Court. And it was then, because I was at home, or, well, I shouldn't say I was at home. I was in a stationary position most of the time, and that's when my weight really began to pile on. And I got this fan on, and my ceiling has some dust on it, and that's why I keep wiping my face, because I keep feeling dust falling on me. It's always something to do when you have a home. It's always something to do. So I just began to pile on away. I was going through a really difficult time in my marriage as well. There were moments in my marriage where I was, my husband and I, we were separated. Um, there were a lot of things going on in my marriage that I just, you know, uh, when I write my book, I'll tell you guys all of that. I'll tell you the different things that was happening in my marriage, because it wasn't good. We were young, and when you have two people in a marriage who have gone through some type of toxicity in their lives, and some type of dysfunction, and you bring those two people together, you know what you got. You got a powder keg that's ready to explode, and that's what happened in my marriage. And so I want to say the first 10 years of my marriage, oh my God, it was terrible. It was terrible. I think we separated maybe about 3 different times. 3 different times we separated, until um, my husband decided that he really wanted his family, and he wanted to have a happy home, and that he loved me, but he loved himself enough to seek help to get himself together. And that's what he did. And that's why we're together today. But usually it doesn't work out that way. There's always still, um, it's always one party or two that don't want to do the work. But in that time period, with me being unhappy, my marriage is basically falling apart at the seams. I'm raising a child. I'm working, you know, plus the other issues that I had from trauma, from being, raped and those things. You know, what eventually happened is that I continued to eat and not really get help for the issues that I had. There's some suicide attempts in there. Wow, just a lot. So when it comes to this weight loss journey, it's so important to me that I get honest with myself and that I be honest about this journey. Because when you are a big person, a big, beautiful woman, or a big, handsome gentleman, you're lying to yourself all the time. You're dishonest with yourself. You know, you look in the mirror and you wear something new and you say, hey, you know, I look good today in this, or excuse me, I'm a hot, sexy babe, even though I'm a big girl, you know, or something along those lines. You have to lie to yourself a lot when you are um, a certain weight, when you're obese. You lie to yourself until you get to a point where your body begins to say, oh, listen here, honey, you know, oh, no, 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 no. This is what's really going down. You know, and that's what happened to me. I lied to myself for years. Oh, you know, that's just, you know, weight gain from having children. Oh, that's just, you just, um, period weight. Oh, you know, you're just grieving, you know, a miscarriage or so, you know. Oh, you know, you look good, girl. You look good. You know, don't listen to everybody else. You know, don't believe your lying eyes. You know, and eventually you get to a point where your body betrays you. Your body begins to say, please, please listen to please believe your lying eyes. You're big and it's hurting us. It's killing us. And so my body began to betray me. It began to tell me, look, girl, this ain't it. This ain't where it's at. You're not really living your life to the fullest. You have health issues that are threatening to take you out of here. You know, try and make you an ancestor before you're absolutely ready. Um, because you have all of these health ailments and issues, they're compounding, you know, you're taking medications, and the medications are creating situations for you that is not going to be good in the end. So why don't you just do what you're supposed to do, which is deal with the bullshit you got going on in your life and lose the weight? Maybe if you deal with your crap, deal with that and lose the weight at the same time, you'll be more successful at this and you'll be able to maintain it. And so when that clicked for me, I began to feel like I could do this and be successful at it. When I began to say, girl, why are you putting that in your grocery basket? You don't need any double stuffed Oreo cookies. First of all, you are a lady, a woman, a black woman of a certain age. Do you really need all of that artificial sugar? No, you don't, because you know that artificial sugar is turned to fat. You know this. Girl, do you really need that? Do you really need that drink right there? You don't need that. That's not even made of real sugar. Your body's not going to be able to break that down. It has all of these chemicals in it, number one. And number two, none of those chemicals are good for you. And you know yourself that the dyes that is used in that drink right there, those dyes do contribute to certain cancers. So why are you drinking that? Take that out of your basket. As a matter of fact, don't even go down that aisle. So I just started training myself to think like that. But then, while I had the knowledge, I had to also do something else. I had to start probing myself as to why I was putting those drinks in my basket. Why was I putting the drinks in my basket? Why was I putting the chips in my basket? Why was I putting the double stuffed Oreos in my basket? Why was I putting the patty pie in my basket? Why? What is going on with me in that moment where I need to eat a whole patty pie or I need to drink some Fago? or a Coca-Cola or some Oreos or making some Toll House cookies. What was it that I was going through in that moment that made me run to food instead of deal with what I needed to deal with? And what are my triggers? And so when I really got into the field of studying psychology, I began to figure certain things out about myself. I was already there with knowing the physiology of weight gain and weight loss. I knew that part. But the other component that I didn't have is I didn't have the why. Why did I choose to gravitate to that nutter butter right there instead of dealing with my feelings in the now? And you're right, the truth will set you free. I had to deal with what I was going through in the now. So there are certain things that I knew that I had to unpack about myself, and they were painful things I didn't want to talk about, that I had to start talking about. One of those things where I was talking to you about a few minutes ago was about feeling abandoned and being abandoned by my father. That's number one. Feeling abandoned, feeling the loss of not having a relationship with my father's children. Because I see myself in them, even though I'm a one-off, because my mother and my father didn't have any more children. They only had me. I'm a one-off. But then my half brothers and sisters, I don't have a relationship with them. Even though I look like them, I don't have a relationship with them. I would love to have a relationship with them, but that's not something that they want. It's not something that their mother wants or supports. So here I am. What do you do with that? That's a situation that I have to deal with. And I can't keep covering it up and pretending like I don't feel this way. But pretending that I'm okay with not having a connection with my father's children. I'm not going to continue to lie about that. I'm just going to be out front and honest about it. Another thing I'm honest about that I sometimes, and I'm still dealing with it. This is all a work in progress for me. Is about my religion. I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses have issues. And some of those issues, have caused me to run to the cabinet to pull down cookies and cakes and eat, So I've had to deal with those issues. I've had to learn how to be a spiritual woman and embrace the divine without embracing and being non-committal to the religion of my birth. That was very difficult. And that's an ongoing process because my whole family are Jehovah's Witnesses. So, it's like almost every day, excuse me, I feel like eating some cake. every single day, but I fight the urge. I fight the urge because I know that I have a goal. I have a place that I want to be. And in order for me to get there, I have to be the healthiest Nell that I can possibly be. So dealing with certain truths about myself is going to be the catalyst to me losing the weight because I have the knowledge. I have the knowledge. I can tell you how many calories. I can tell you right now, if you like bagels, don't eat them. Did you know that the equivalent of one bagel is one whole loaf of bread? One bagel. One bagel. If you eat one bagel, that's the equivalent of one entire loaf of bread. Did you know that? I know that. So I have the knowledge. I have the knowledge. But it's really the knowledge in action that's going to propel you and I to reach the goals that we want to reach. The knowledge in action. And that's what I learned. And for me, the action is not just knowing this and doing this as far as the eating component, but it's also peeling back the layers of who I am and getting to know who I am, and also ending the lies that I tell myself. Because you and I mean, you have to admit it, you do tell yourself some lies. We lie to ourselves every single day. Every single day, we lie to ourselves. We actually lie to ourselves. And when you're a person who is fighting the bulge, you're fighting obesity, you've been lying to yourself for a very long time. And what you have to get out of doing, you have to get out of the habit of lying all the time. Stop lying to yourself. And that's what I've been doing. Stopping, halting the lies that I tell myself. Because the lies that I tell myself is what is going to undo me. It would be not to my benefit. It would be detrimental to me to continue to lie to myself. And after you've been lying to yourself for most of your life, shoo, you just don't up and wake up one day and start telling truths. No, you don't do that. Of course not. You have to build up to it. But every day, I stop telling myself lies. I stop telling myself, girl, you look good for a curvy diva. Girl, you look good to be big. Girl, no, I don't do that. I tell myself, Nell, you're beautiful. You have some more work to do. We're on a journey. We're on a journey to wellness. We are embracing self-care. We are embracing living in the present moment. And we are rejecting all things that do not benefit us. And when I tell myself that mantra at night before I go to bed and in the morning when I wake up, that helps me to make good decisions when it comes to food, good decisions when it comes to when it concerns exercising, and the choices that we make every single day is the sum totality of who we are. And that's why I'm getting rid of all of this, because this person here was the sum totality of toxicity and dysfunction and lies and self-hate. The woman that I am becoming as I'm peeling back these layers is a woman that's going to symbolize strength, honesty, loyalty, integrity, and wellness, not just in body, but in mind. That's where I'm heading. Those are the truths about me that I want to embrace. And then the lies, I'm rejecting them, because the lies that I tell myself about me, about Nell, they're not helping me. They're not helping me at all. They make me feel good, but they're lies. Lies I tell myself. And those lies have led me to live a life where I have been unfulfilled. Can you get can you understand what I'm saying? All right then, so I have been sitting here in the great room. I told you I was getting ready to watch Dynasty in a minute, and I am. But I'm feeling pretty good about myself today. I've lost some more weight. My pants are feeling baggy on me. I'm really excited about that. And this shirt that I have on, it's really supposed to be worn on Friday. It's a Friday shirt, but I'm wearing it today and it fits really well. It's fitting big on me. And so I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy about losing the weight. But what I'm really proud of is I am proud of being honest. I'm proud of working on me, of working on what's bothering me, working on telling truths about myself, working on not caring or not allowing what other people think about me to stop me from doing what I know I need to get done. And that is a really important concept that we as women or men who are in a situation where we're overweight, we're obese, we have to learn how to stop telling lies, stop lying to ourselves. Because each lie that we tell about our lives, each lie that we tell about ourselves, each lie that we tell about our children, about our family, and about where we want to go and what we want to do and what we've been doing, when we know we ain't been doing nothing, when we know that we not going to really go nowhere because we too big to go. Those are lies that we tell ourselves. And each lie that we tell digs a grave. And it digs that grave larger or deeper and deeper and deeper until the lies are going to just push us into it prematurely. And that's not how I see my life going. Not how I see my life going. And if you're on this journey with me, I don't want that for you either. I don't want that for you either. So I'm going to hop off of here. I've been on this live for 56 minutes. That's a long time. Just talking. And I'm hoping that these lives, if people are watching this live on the playback, I hope that you break it up into chunks. And whatever you can use for yourself, use it. If you need to discard some of that because it's BS to you, go ahead. Whatever you can use it. Use my life as a way for you, as inspiration. As inspiration. Use my life as inspiration. My story as inspiration. Use that as inspiration, but don't use it as a crutch. Don't let the lies that I tell myself about who I am be a crutch for you. Listen to it. If you can gain or glean some information from it that'll be beneficial to your life and your journey, go right on ahead. Do that. But don't let my life and my story stop you from doing what you got to do. Do you. Be the best you that you can possibly be. Because one of the things that I am also learning is that my story, that's the past. I'm building new things, child. I'm doing new things, all right? When you see my name and my article in Vogue magazine, you're going to be like, oh, she did that. She said she was going to do it. Now, see, that's the story I'm telling myself. When my channel reaches the magic number of maybe 500,000 people, 500,000 subscribers, then listen, that's the story I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about and give life to my rapists or or the people that sexually assaulted me. I don't want to give them any more life. That's not the story I'm embracing. I'm embracing the story of now. I'm embracing the story of Nell today, and I'm going to release myself from the lies, release myself from the shackles of my toxic past, release myself from the dysfunction, and be the woman that I want to be. Be the woman that I am and that I know I am, right? Okay, I'm going to hop off of here, and I am going to get started. I'm going to put my cap back on. I took it off for this live and put my cap back on, and I'm going to start turn on some Dynasty, and I'm going to start making some bath towels for my bathroom. And I was thinking about making some large granny square tiles for my bathroom. You know my color is purple. And so I found this one granny square design that I'm really thinking about turning into a giant tile or a large size tile. And let me see, did I mark it down? I don't even think I marked it here in the book. I don't think I did. I'm gonna have to look through it again. But if you recall, I purchased this book from Joann's last month. It's called the Granny Square Source Book, the Ultimate Granny Square Source Book. And so I'm going to make some towels for my bathroom. All right, then I'm out of here, y'all. It's been an hour. I've been yakking, so I'm going to hop off of here and I'm going to continue drinking my turmeric tea. And I'm going to watch me some Dynasty because I'm done with the news for the day. I don't want to hear any news. I don't want to hear any bad news, good news. I don't want to hear anything. I just want to watch some mindless TV. So I'm going to watch some Dynasty and I'm going to see what Blake, Alexis, what's Linda Evans' name? What is Linda? I can't believe I didn't forgot her name. What is Linda Evans' name on on Dynasty? Okay, Blake, Alexis, Fallon, Jeff, Adam, Kirby, Joseph, and I cannot think of Linda Evans' name to save my life on that show. Oh my God, Crystal, Crystal, that's right, Crystal. So I'm getting ready to watch them on my television up here, and I'm going to crochet and enjoy myself. So you guys have a great Wednesday. It's 5:40. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy yourselves, and I will see you next time here in the Tiny Studio. Bye bye.